music for me then wasn't just about releasing anything. It was really digging deep into myself and understanding what kind of man do I want to be. Oh, this is popular. This is happening. No, I'm going to make music that is authentic to me. When you hear it, you say, is that T Brixson? That's what I want. And I also wanted to make it like quality, a lot of things. And whatever I'm passionate about, I like to do fully. And if I'm not, I don't want to do it. Sometimes the hit just comes to me. I'm, in the shower, like everybody is in the shower singing. And it's like, oh, and you just put it down. Sometimes, I kid you not, I am dreaming and I'm singing in my dream. Sometimes that's how inspiration comes when you least expect them. Sometimes, it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it could take 20 years, right? Like, one of my songs, Bonita, I wrote that when I was in high school about 20, maybe 22 years ago.
Well, the intersection of me and you is fashion. What does fashion mean to you?
It's like having the best book, but not having a good cover. Like, fashion really helps tell my story, express myself, because I know I have a lot of pages in my book, a lot of chapters, but I think my appearance really needs to also help me tell my story.
All right, so before we get into the conversation, you know how we do it. Outfit of the day. Today, I'm wearing a navy blue trouser, a sky blue shirt, and a burgundy jacket from 1219 Styles, and the hat from David Wedge. So with that, I have my outfit of the day. You can check out for the jacket and the product on our website, www.1219styles.co.uk. And so let's get into the conversation.
This episode is brought to you by 1219 Styles. For quality bespoke suits crafted to perfection, all from the comfort of your home. Schedule a virtual measurement today at www.1219styles.co.uk.
Welcome to another episode of Trades and Profits with Michael Okunlora. And today I have a very stylish guest. Today's intersection between fashion and music. So on the conversation seat today, I have a stylish guest, a member of the Elevator Style community, and is a musician with his new or latest record out. You need to listen to it. I'm very sure by the time when you hear his voice, you'll be persuaded to go and download the music. And so on that note, without not too much ado, I have T Brixson. Is it T Brixson?
Brixson.
T Brixson.
T Brixson.
I don't know.
You have to divide the syllables. So T, of course, the Brixson. So son of Brixson.
T Brixson.
Not Brixton. No.
Okay.
I know that's the oftentimes people get mistaken, but it's a good thing, right? To be associated with such a historic part of the world, though, not just the UK. But no, Brixson is just simply the son of Briggs. My dad is Briggs, and I'm one of the sons. So the T Brixson.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to be on the podcast. I've seen other podcasts, and I feel like, when do I get a call? When do I get my turn? So really excited to be here.
It is actually a very good time for you to come around as well, especially with the new single, the new record.
Yeah,
the new record out. How are you feeling about it?
I'm so. It's been 2 years since the last time I released music. So I'm so excited. My new single is called Body Baby, is out now on all streaming platforms. It's out on radio, so shout out to the DJs, shout out to the radio DJs, and, just huge support from my family and from my friends. And and of course from my beautiful wife, she's always supporting me, and shout out to my baby. And just listen to it, go stream it. From the very first moment you hear the sound, you're gonna move your feet. Trust me.
I saw the snippet last night. So at some point in this video, we're going to play it. Before we go further, before we get or go deeper, let's start from the beginning. So this is usually the first question I ask people. Introduce yourself. Let's start from there.
Yeah, no, it's the hardest question because where do you start? But I suppose the very simple thing is I grew up here in Lagos in Ireland, and I was born and raised from Lagos. My mom and dad raised me very well before moving to the UK. I don't know, 20 odd years ago. But I think my roots really ground who I am. I'm from a very humble background, very sort of spiritual Christian background. And yeah, I started off with, my passion for music at a very early age. I think my aunt reminded me that I was singing Michael Jackson's Who's Bad, like, when I was between 4 and 7 years old. So I've always had that passion. But then I started slowly into choirs. So I went into, most people start from church choirs. So I started off in the church choir and then school choirs. And then I even had a band when I was in school. But I'd say music changed when maybe 2016 when I started like professionally making music, and I started off in doing house music with a house DJ in London, and that was exciting times. Trust me, it was probably the first time I saw the business side of music, because most people see the music side of business. You only see the song or the shows or
Going on stage to perform.
yeah, but the business side, all the groundwork you need to do, the planning, the recording, the studio times, the writing music, all that, I really started getting to understand it's not easy. So I rather do the music. I don't want to do the business, but then I went independent in 2020. I mean, most people started doing independent music when they figured out that A, they could do it themselves, and B, it is a lot cheaper because yeah, just to pay for studio time. You could imagine that costs a lot of money, especially back in the day. So during COVID, it was the first time I actually released a solo single by myself without a label, and that was called Olamira. And I love that song so much because it was the very first time I felt like I was connected to the music I really wanted to make. So it's a fusion of R&B, reggaeton, Afro beats. It's a mashup of all the music I love. And on the cover you see I'm on what we call in Nigeria kekemara, but it's a moped. Yeah, it's pretty much just a mobile tuk-tuk, and that was taken just before COVID. So I went back to Lagos just before COVID for a very special trip, and I took the photos in Lagos, and the cover of that single is from Lagos City. So it's huge for me. I always mention Lagos like it's on my back because that's where I grew up. That's my hometown. That's my city. So I'm hoping I'm representing them anywhere I go.
Well, you're doing a good job. In few minutes of this conversation, you've mentioned Lagos about 5 or 6 times,
There you go.
if I'm counting. So, you dropped your first single in 2020 during the COVID. What you said before COVID? Were you during the COVID period? Were you in the UK or you're in back?
Yes. So yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I moved here 20 years ago to London, but to the UK. But it was the first time in 2020 or just before 2020 that I went back after 10 years. So it was probably, well, over 10 years, probably homecoming for me because a lot had changed. Come on, in 10 years, a lot has changed. And I think it was good for me to just experience it before COVID because I know a lot has changed after COVID as well. So a lot of the things like, just the food, the weather, the breeze, I'll say the food again, just being able to taste some home meals. I went back home to, my mom's and dad's, and yeah, had some home cooking and just being able to see friends and family and where I grew up, that gave me inspiration. But then I'm after, yeah, during COVID, that's when I released that song Olamira, and that was it was a tough time because COVID, for many people, lost jobs, lost their families, lost people, loved ones, and I was also going through a breakup at the time, and I think it was a good time for me to just focus on myself, focus on what really was important to me, focus on finding my identity, my true self, and authenticity. And thankfully, it was the same year I found my wife now, so it's a great turning point for me. So music for me then wasn't just about releasing anything. It was really digging deep into myself and understanding what kind of man do I want to be? Who am I? What's my identity? What do I want to show the world? And then at the same time, processing, channeling all the negativity that I had, all the suppressed, emotions,
True.
and turning that into something positive, into music. So I always love it when people listen to some of my music and they dance, but they don't know that, it's probably spurn out of negative emotions, just being able to say, hey, how do I really want to feel?
Mm. Interesting to hear that you're turning your pain into purpose.
I love that. Pain into purpose, yeah.
Yeah, because this is you going through a breakup, and rather than you like getting drunk or getting sober, or like you going into that dark space, you brought yourself out of that space to then say, let me bless other people. Let me bless other people to turn my own sorrows into joy for them to dance to.
Yeah, I agree. And that, of course, it's not as simple as just saying, okay, I'm feeling down right now. I'm going to write a song and it's going to be amazing and it's going to make people dance. It's just sitting with that emotion, right? Understanding, okay, I feel horrible right now. I feel like crap. I feel whatever I feel. Understanding it, accepting it, and then deciding what you want to do with it. So there's almost like phases to that emotion. It's not just I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm lonely. It's okay, I'm feeling this way. I understand it. Okay, what can I do about it? Can I do anything about it? Can I write a song? Can I go running? Can I turn it into some good energy? Because every energy is energy, right? Whether it's negative or positive, you could turn it into, it's still energy. It doesn't just disappear. I know there's a phrase that says energy cannot be destroyed; it can only be transformed, right? So you can either change it, channel it to something positive or negative. So that's what I feel like I did. I really took time to understand who I was, understand what I was feeling, what I was going through, and what I wanted to do about it. And then things happened, like songs or, falling in love, opening myself up to loving again, because that's one thing I know is very hard for people that have been hurt. If you've been hurt before, it's probably going to take a longer time to open up to someone else, someone new. So that in itself was a big challenge to actually say, am I ready to go into another relationship? And in fact, I remember saying it a lot to my now wife. Then, we were dating. I was like, I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm not looking for anything serious. She can say, yeah, you say that a lot. And I was like, or do I? But in fact, what I was saying was, you're the one. I really want to be with you. But, opposite, I would say, I don't want anything serious because I was scared, right? Everybody is scared. I know I was scared. I was not sure if I was ready to love. And in fact, one of my friends, one of my very close friends, I wouldn't mention his name, he called me up and he was like, don't fall in love, oh. Like, I know you, don't fall in love. And I know, yeah, now she's my wife, so there you go. But
Well, now you're back in the pit of love.
but the good news is, for me anyway, is that it's the first time I really feel like I'm 100% in love with someone. And I know that sounds very, very like, so you've never been 100%. No, there's different phases of love, and my perception of love when I was 10 years old versus my perception of love now is completely different. However, I feel like this is the very first time I'm so in love with this, my woman, that, yeah, of course, I'm married to her. Like she said, yes, we were married. But to take that step, I was more than 100% sure that she is the one, and I proposed. And she feels the same way, I believe. That's why she said yes. And I feel like we give each other 110%, because some people are in love, but they don't maybe feel the same way. They don't feel 100% loved back. And I don't feel like that's fair. I feel like, if you're going to go into something like love, go in 110%. If you're not serious, then don't do it. Because you either get hurt or someone else get hurt, and you don't want that. So yeah, I think I'm a very lucky man.
And I think from what you've shared, it's a lesson I as well learned that at the time changed everything I was doing, because I'm very sure men don't get to talk about these things a lot of time. Like it feels like a taboo when you're being altered, when you're let down, and you want to come out and say, "Oh, I'm heartbroken."
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
you go and pick up pad and start playing games and
Yes, yeah.
suppress the pain. That's what
Yeah.
it is always like. Oh, you're a man. You shouldn't feel bad about things like this. So what you've narrated and described, I remember that I too at some point, what really helped me to like move from where I was as well like being able to like convert those pain into like purpose. And I think mine was my own mom's death, and not just my mom's death. I've been in that whole relationship spaces and all of that. And at that point in time, I just said, "Okay, you know what? I've lost my mom. At this point, I just want to be by myself." Then all my attention then had to go into my craft, my fashion. And I noticed at the moment I put in my 100, because that is where my heart and my soul is. No distraction, nothing pulling me back. I was seeing results. And at the same time, interestingly, my wife, my woman, now my wife, came into the picture, and I just said, "Okay, you know what, this is what it is. I'm gonna give this person my 100%." And I know because I was able to give like my 100% to hate no here or there, it makes things just feel magical. It felt more like a movie if I flash back, but I could relate to like you giving something your 100%, and it's where it is your art. There was a time I saw this illustration of like you pouring water into drums, into like different drums. If you're pouring all your water into one drum, it gets full quickly. But if you're splitting the water into like different drums, it takes you more time for you to like
Fill them up. Yeah.
fill those drums. So I'm happy to hear your own story as well, to in celebration
Of course.
of you taking those pain, taking all of that, and then feeling them right in the right.
Right. But
in the right
I
drum.
guess I was also lucky to find the right drum. To be fair. 'Cause that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying my wife is a drum, but I'm saying you can use the word purpose for drums, right? So you can decide, where do I want to focus my energy and time, and sometimes you have to take a risk. Like, you're not going to be sure everything that you put your heart and soul into you will reap a benefit. But as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're going in, like you said, with all honesty, and you say, "Hey, look, I might get hurt, but at least I give you 100%." But also it's about, I don't know, it's being like there's a word I'm thinking about. It will come to me, but it's being very intentional is probably the word I'm looking for, about what you want to do. Because a lot of people get distracted with so many different things. I mean, I can think of 2 or 3 distractions already, just from the social media, or unnecessary things that don't necessarily give you something back, like money or time, and don't follow the crowd, right? So you have to be intentional about where you spend your time and your energy and your focus. Because like in your case, you're saying you had a passion, and you still do, in your craft, and you gave in all your energy into that. And guess what? When you found your woman, that didn't stop your craft. In fact, it enhanced it, because now you're two that believe in your purpose, and you also support her in her purpose. So what I'm trying to say is you were intentional as to this is my craft, this is what I want to focus and spend time on, and you didn't allow the distractions. And in COVID, there was multiple distractions. It was funny because we were more connected internationally, but we were away from it, apart. We were more connected apart during COVID, but there was a lot of distractions, right? So it must have taken a lot for you to focus. And I think that's still the case now. There's a lot more distractions now that everyone can fly, go anywhere and meet in person. So you have to be very intentional. And I think this, even today, we made the effort. We were intentional about making this podcast, and we spoke it into existence, and it's happened. And I think that I follow that a lot. I speak a lot of things into existence that I want to do, that I believe in, and yeah, it's gonna happen. It's only a matter of time.
So the other time you mentioned during the time of pain, and that was when you were able to like go within to find the kind of man you want to be, who you truly want to be.
Yeah.
So who do you truly want to be?
I'm already that, and that's the truth. I'm just authentic myself. I think what I really needed to understand was, will the pain define me as to say I'm hurting, so I'm going to do something crazy? Or should I say I'm hurting, I understand why I'm hurting, but I choose a different path? And I think that's what I meant by who I wanted to be. So it's being intentional about, you know what, I'm not going to let this channel me to do something wrong or different. I'm going to follow the path that I want to, that I know is right, that I want to be an honest man. If I want to go into another relationship, I want it to be honest, because things like relationships, since we're on the relationship subject, is because we get hurt, we can say, oh, I'm going to go hurt someone else. Or we can say, oh, now I'm never going to open my heart to anybody else. So being intentional and say, hey, look, I know this, I'm hurt and whatever, and maybe you even hurt someone else. It's not even the other way around. And saying, you know what, from now on, any relationship I go into, I'm going to go from the very first minute, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to, because I know it's one of the things that I said to myself, like the next time I fall in love, like I want to make sure I'm 100%. If I'm not 100%, I'm not doing it. And that's sort of things that I was intentional about saying to myself, this is who I want to be moving forward. So that's just a relationship, as well as, from my craft, music. I wanted to be intentional. Hey, from now on, I'm only going to make music that I love to make, that I want to make, not that someone tells me to do. Oh, this is popular, this is happening. No, I'm going to make music that is authentic to me. When you hear it, you say, there's that T Brixson. That's what I want. And I also wanted to make it like quality, not just going to do stuff half-hearted. I want 100% in everything. Maybe I've said 100% 100 times in this conversation, and that's because that's how I feel. I'm passionate about a lot of things, and whatever I'm passionate about, I like to do fully. And if I'm not, I don't want to do it, because then you would see it. You would say, oh, T is not really into this. And that's not me. I want to be intentional. I want to be purposeful. I want to be fully involved in everything I'm passionate about. So that's the man I want to be. That's the man I am. And that's, who I strive to be every day.
So your music is true to you.
Yeah, 100%.
When creating your music, what was the process like?
Well, now I've already said it up. I'm putting together a sort of behind the story, behind the sound kind of thing, but it's going to be titled "Everything Has a Story." In short, that's what I want to use to show the process of that I go through, because it's easy for me to say, oh, I start off with a melody, and then I put it on my recorder, and then I go to the studio, and then I record it, and then I send it, and then I mix it and I master it, and I put it on Spotify, and I put it on Apple Music. And no, it would be better to show, even if it's just a 1-minute teaser of, hey, this is a process that T Brixson goes through when he's making a hit. Sometimes the hit just comes to me, I'm, in the shower, like everybody is in the shower singing, and it's like, oh, and you put it down. Sometimes I kid, I am dreaming and I'm singing in my dream, and it's genuinely like I feel like the song comes to me in my dream. So it's so hard to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning because I have a song in my dream. So to find something to record it in. But I did that. And sometimes that's how inspiration comes when you least expect it. I think it's maybe similar to artists or, writers. Like, when you get inspiration, you have to stop and find a pad and just put it down. In my case, yeah, I just have to record it on my phone, my voice notes, just so that it doesn't go away. And then I build on it and I build on it. And sometimes, yeah, it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it could take 20 years, right? Like, one of my songs, Bonita, is one of probably my favorite songs. I know I have so many songs, but I wrote that when I was in high school about 20, maybe 22 years ago. And never released it because 22 years ago I probably didn't have the same access to technology that we do now. But yeah, I finally wrote it and recorded it and collabed with an artist in Miami, and we shot the video in Miami with my fiance then, now wife. And yeah, it was 20 years in the making. So it could take anything from a dream to, it could take years. So it's there's not one set process to making music.
And that was the feedback like after you spent 22 years, right?
But the good news is it's not one of them. It took 22 years. It just took that much time for that song to be relevant to me and to be relevant to who I am or the artist I'm trying to be or the authentic, like you said, T. Brixson, because the feedback was amazing, right? Like it's got at least 40,000 streams on Spotify. And, I went to Miami to shoot the video and I connected and collabed with someone I would have never met in person. It was during COVID, we got connected by one of my producers in Miami. So the feedback was amazing because the sound is great. I mean, you're probably going to have to play this song after this podcast. Also, the feedback I'm getting from my latest release, Body Baby, is amazing as well because that took 5 minutes to record. Like, I got the inspiration when I was cooking in the kitchen, and it goes like ticky licky bumper, ticky licky bumper. I was like, oh, I have to record this, and I just went and recorded this, sent it to my producer in Chile. He mixed and mastered it, sent it back in like I don't know overnight, and I was like, wow, I have a song in less than 24 hours that came to me when I was cooking. And of course, I added some lyrics about my wife because, it genuinely she inspires me. So, and that's me. Everything I want to sing is about me, my sound, my authentic. It's not what people want me to say or sing.
Your own story.
Yes, exactly that. And I think music, well, art in general doesn't have to follow a scientific pattern. It can be anything from cooking, playing, or it could be something that is deep emotional, like you say, and like, a lot of built up, suppressed, emotions, or it could just be something that you've always wanted, but you're longing for, and, you can write. So for instance, I was singing one of my songs to my wife, and she was saying, what does that song mean to you? Asking me. And I was saying to her, that when I wrote that song, I was feeling in a certain way. And for me, when I make a song, I want to put it in a bottle. So making a song and putting it on a track, for me, that's the bottle. So it's like a feeling, emotions in a bottle. And that's like, I've let it out. So I can open the bottle, listen to the song. Every time I close it back up, it's like a rack of, I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking that's my sound I put in a bottle. Another sound I put in a bottle based off how I was feeling in that time. And that way it's the stories build up. It's not just, it has to, I don't know. That's the way I see it, that I'm able to, it's like a time capsule, able to, just put a feeling and emotions and energy and vibration and all that into a song and story.
So What was the story behind?
That song,
No, the
Body Davy.
yeah, but you.
Yeah, so I'm saying, that this particular one is it's just a playful moment, in the kitchen, and it doesn't really mean anything. Ticky licky bumper. Like I sing it a lot, and I'm singing. What would people think? Like this guy's lost his head. But Body Baby for me, I was missing my wife, and I was like, I want your body, I need your body, and it's not just about her body. It's just her presence. Her everything about her. Or I mean, yeah, she's definitely someone I don't want to be away from for long. So that was a longing. That was the emotions behind Body Baby. But the playful part is what I know was only a 5-minute sound, and to me, I feel sums me up really well because I'm deep, passionate, emotional, everything, but I can also be playful. And I want people to see the different, shades of me, not just the serious guy or the playful guy. I think I'm a whole package as an artist, like everybody else, right? Some people only show what they want to show,
Yeah.
but I'm all in or no.
To be honest, I think that's the very first time I'm seeing the side of you in your element
Yep.
or in your elements of play. So what does success means to you as a musician?
Yeah, if you asked me that maybe 4 years ago,
Mhm.
I would have said 1 million streams on Spotify and sold out shows, an O2 Arena at the O2 Arena. But I think right now, if I'm being entirely honest, just being able to tell my story, it's already success to me. Being able to connect with, like-minded creatives is success to me. My family, my mom loving my music is success to me. Just being, I call it little wins.
Mm-hmm.
So those little drops of water
Mm-hmm.
turn into a mighty ocean in the end. And I think I'm just counting every single milestone as a win because I've won awards. I've done some shows. I've done radio tours, TV. I've been on TV. I did a tour of my last EP in Nigeria, and I went to, TV stations, radio stations. I did a tour of Lagos pretty much. And I thought like it doesn't get bigger than that, going back home and sharing your music and people are inspired by it. And that really made me realize that it's not about the money. Like success is being able to tell your story and people like getting inspired by it and say, hey, that guy from Lagos, right? Like if he can do it, I can do it too. So I feel like giving back, it doesn't get better. It doesn't get much better than that.
And now to now tie it because what the interception of me and you is fashion. That's what we meet. What does fashion mean to you?
It's like having the best book,
Mm-hmm.
but not having a good cover. Like fashion really helps tell my story, express myself. Because I know I have a lot of pages in my book, a lot of chapters, but I think my appearance really needs to also help me tell my story. So I dress the way I feel, the way I want people to see that I am not shy. I'm bold. I like being colorful. I like being expressive. I express with fashion. And I think I've always admired the way my dad dressed because that's where for me I saw my first sense of fashion from my dad. So even the shoes, like these are his favorite brogues, the jacket, like everything, the hat, I'm literally just copying my dad. So I think from a very early age, I was able to understand what fashion meant to him and how he dressed, he carried himself with dignity and respect. And I also want people to see the way I carry myself is the way I feel about myself, the way I can express how I feel, but also the way I want people to address me, right? Like you don't go into a meeting in a t-shirt and flip-flops, right? You want to go, dress quite well so that people can see you because their first impression of you is really important. So I like to dress well, not just because I want to be respected, but also that's the way I feel about myself. I feel very important. I feel like I want to carry myself in a very important way so that people can also treat me with respect and importance, because that's what I'll do. I will respect anyone else with dignity, and I think I should
Get the
be
same back.
treated in the same way.
If there is any advice you want, if looking back at your own journey, looking through your story and how you've gotten here today, if you're being to advise a young Tammy,
Yeah,
what would be that
that's a
one?
very good one.
What would be that one advice you would?
I often think about this because I always think, if I could go back, I don't know, 20 years or let's just say 20 years and say to my young self, something, what would I say? And I think just follow the path and just believe in yourself and don't be afraid to take risks, because nothing comes without some trials. You just have to try, and I think hold on to the words of your mom. Listen to your mom, because she knows. Moms know everything. But also trust God, because I know I wouldn't be here without God, God's grace. I'm very, very much aware that all the favor and there's no coincidence in life. So trust God 110%, and just keep going. Just believe in yourself, and never doubt yourself. Some people have very good gut feeling. Yeah. And I think I have a good gut feeling as well. So listen to your gut.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. It's been a wonderful time. And where can people find you, find your works, and
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a great pleasure and honor to be on the podcast as well. I feel I'm going to watch this back and I'm going to be like, yo, I said that. But for people that, if you ever wanted to reach out to me on, at T Brixson on all social media. I'm also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, YouTube, you name it. I've also got some new merch on my tbrixson.com. So that's TBRIXSON, T Brixson. So, and just keep tuning into the podcast, because there's some real conversations going on here, and real inspired. So thank you for having me on the show.
thank you for coming. Lastly, before we just leave, there's this game we play. It's a this or that game. So it's as simple as A or B.
All right.
Yeah. So London or Lagos?
Lagos.
Lagos. So we shift back to Lagos. Okay. Fashion or style?
Style.
Style. Music or fashion?
Music.
Music. Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer, 100%.
Summer fashion or winter fashion?
Winter fashion.
Winter fashion.
Yeah.
Jollof rice or spaghetti?
Jollof all the way. Jollof rice all the way, every day.
Thank you very much for coming to Brixson.
Pleasure, man. I appreciate you.
All right.